This is Nightline and I'm Liyana Hassanel. News making the headlines. Government provides additional 200 million ringgit allocation to boost TVET programs. And 500,000 ringgit monthly bribes. DBKL Deputy Director among 4 nabbed. Good morning. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim announced that the government will provide an additional 200 million ringgit to boost technical and vocational education and training, TVET programs, to meet the demand of high-value sectors. The Prime Minister said the funds would be channeled through the Skills Development Fund Corporation to support students pursuing skill development programs. According to Anwar, the government wants to add value to TVET programs to meet the demands for skilled workers in high-impact industries, such as electric vehicles, advanced materials, electrical and electronics, technology and digital, farm mechanization, and agricultural automation. He added that financial support in these critical fields will also encourage TVET institutions to develop training programs that align with the government's aim to strengthen high-growth and high-value sectors and industries.
Lihat TVET ini mengikut kacamata teropong baru, bahawa ini akan menentukan Malaysia ini terangkat sebagai negara hebat, industri teknologi tinggi dan AI di masa depan.
Anwar said this in a speech when launching the 2024 National TVET Day celebration at the Kuala Langat Industrial Training Institute in Banting, Selangor on Saturday. He added that this also aligns with the National Energy Transition Roadmap, NETR, and the 2030 National Industrial Master Plan, NIMP. At the event, the Prime Minister also launched the 2030 National TVET Policy, which will serve as a comprehensive guideline for TVET implementation in Malaysia, with a primary focus on producing skilled workers with high incomes. At the same event, Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, noted that the TVET education sector can be empowered with larger allocations if acts of corruption and mismanagement that cost the country to lose hundreds of millions of ringgit do not occur. He said the country has great potential in the TVET field, especially as Malaysia is now a focus of foreign investments, particularly in the semiconductor sector. However, corrupt practices such as sakau or kleptocracy are the reason the government is having difficulty allocating funds to benefit the people.
Dengan tindak-tindakan yang berani, yang kita berhentikan kerja-kerja sakau ni. Ini nak beli bahak TVET, harga 40 juta, sakau 5 juta. Nak buat projek tempatan banjir, harga 1 bilion, sakau 200 juta. Ini, khianat ini mesti dihentikan untuk dapat kita pulangkan wang kepada rakyat.
Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said various international companies are prepared to offer higher starting salaries to TVET graduates, recognizing the industry's demand for skilled workers provided by these institutions.
Engagement dengan beberapa syarikat daripada luar negara, mereka sanggup memberikan gaji minimum $1,000 US, artinya lebih daripada 4,000. Dan kita telah melakukan Memorandum of Agreement dengan syarikat-syarikat berkenaan, dan latihan dibuat mengikut keperluan syarikat-syarikat dan kilang-kilang yang berkenaan. Jadi tidak berlaku mismatch.
On the additional 200 million ringgit allocation to boost TVET programs announced by the Prime Minister earlier, Zahid, who also chairs the National TVET Committee, said the funds will be distributed to TVET institutions next month. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has detained 4 men, including a Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL Deputy Director, for allegedly accepting monthly bribes of up to 500,000 ringgit from illegal business premises in the city. It is alleged that the senior official has been receiving these kickbacks from massage parlours, entertainment centres and other illegal premises in exchange for turning a blind eye and allowing them to operate. An MACC source said the DBKL Deputy Director and 2 VITS personnel, including an enforcement officer, are being remanded for 7 days until June 14th. Additionally, another suspect, a former enforcement officer, is placed under a 5-day remand until June 12th. The remand order for the suspects, all males in their 30s and 40s, was issued by Magistrate Shairul Farhana Ruslan. The source stated that the DBKL Deputy Director, identified as the main suspect, is alleged to have been orchestrating the bribe collection racket for several months. It is believed that the 3 other individuals also received bribes and served as middlemen in distributing the bribe money to several other DBKL enforcement personnel. All the suspects were nabbed by the graft buster at several locations in the capital during an operation on Friday. MACC also seized cash totaling over 200,000 ringgit, besides jewellery and 28 gold wafers with unknown value and weight. Kuala Lumpur MACC Director Datuk Muhammad Fauzi Hussein confirmed the arrest, adding that the case is being investigated under the MACC Act. Meanwhile, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Federal Territories, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, is leaving it entirely to the MACC to investigate the bribery allegations involving the senior official and several personnel from DBKL.
Kita sendiri tidak boleh berkompromi lah kan dengan maksudnya salah laku seperti inilah. Tapi apapun kita memberi ataupun menyerahkan sepenuhnya kepada SPRM lah untuk buat siasatan dan kalau ada perkara-perkara yang bersalahan, tindakan-tindakan yang akan diambil dan sebagainya itu bergantung pada SPRM.
She also reminded all local authority staff and officers to always maintain good governance and integrity in performing their duties and to deliver excellent service to the people. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry will evaluate the necessity of conducting annual psychometric assessments for registered childcare providers. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, said by regularly updating psychometric test results, the ministry can effectively monitor the mental health and overall well-being of childcare workers, which is crucial for their role in caring for children.
Melalui training, physical training itu you can see whether orang tu okay ke tidak okay, cara bercakap, bergaul dengan orang lain, we can see from there. And then they also have to undergo theoretical training itu, ada exam, dan dari situ kita tahu.
Nancy said this during the launch of the National Health Agenda Series 1 and ASEAN Dengue Day celebration at Kampung Pueh in Lundu, Sarawak on Saturday. In Malaysia, psychometric assessments are required once for entry into the childcare field. These tests evaluate candidates' personality, health, emotional competence, and conflict management skills, thereby assessing their capacity for successful job performance. Police have found discrepancies between the statements from witnesses and the parents of murdered autistic child Zain Ryan Abdul Matin, leading to the extension of his parents' remand order. Selangor Police Chief Datuk Sri Hussein Omar Khan said authorities will use the additional 6 days remand against the boy's parents that was granted by the Magistrates Court on Friday to finalise its investigation papers before referring the case to the Deputy Public Prosecutor for further action.
Dan ada perkara-perkara yang perlu disemak semula, ada perkara-perkara yang tidak selari ataupun konsisten daripada keterangan-keterangan saksi dan sebagainya, dan menjurus kepada tangkapan ibu dan bapa adik inilah. Okey, jadi kita telah selesai soal siasat bagi fasa pertama 7 hari, dan ada perkara-perkara yang perlu kita counter check. Okey, dan ada perkara-perkara yang masih yang tidak seiring dengan siasatan kita lah.
Hussein told this to reporters after launching the Selangor Police Taman Angkat Aman Wanita Amanita program in Kajang on Saturday. He, however, declined to elaborate further as the investigation is still ongoing. In the past 7 days, police have called in 3 people for questioning, the child's former babysitter and 2 family members. On Friday, the remand for Zain's parents was extended by a further 6 days to facilitate police investigation into the case under Section 302 of the Penal Code. The couple were arrested by police at their family home in Puncak Alam on May 31st. 6-year-old Zain was reported missing on December 5th last year in Damansara Damai, before being found dead near a stream about 200 meters from his apartment block at Apartment Idaman the next day. The post-mortem revealed multiple injuries, including defensive wounds, while the cause of death was believed to be strangulation. Heavy rains in Sydney spark flash floods. News from the foreign front when we return.
Saya ada satu motor yang lama tu, 1914 punya Matchless, vintage. Cara lain, bunyi lain, cara nak bawa pun lain. Motor ini tidak lebih dari 10 yang bisa hidup dan jalan dan dengan kelas museum. Ya.
Malakoff adalah satu-satunya syarikat dalam usaha melakukan pembakaran secara bersama. Melalui usaha ini, kita dapat mengurangkan penjanaan gas rumah hijau hingga 30% pengurangan menjelang 2031.
Mati pucuk, mimpi ngeri kaum lelaki.
10 orang, 7 daripada mereka mati pucuk.
Muda lagi dah mati pucuk.
Tabiat merokok, ketagihan pada pornografi boleh menyebabkan mati pucuk.
Mati pucuk di usia muda, diskusinya di Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton. Inspirasi generasi bersamamu di TV3.
The foreign news. The Israeli military is conducting intense assaults across the Gaza Strip by air, land and sea, killing more than 200 people and spreading fear among its war-weary, displaced population. Dozens of air raids reportedly hit the besieged territory on Saturday, particularly in Deir al-Balah and Nuseirat in central Gaza, homes west of the city of Rafah in the south, and multiple areas in Gaza City to the north. According to Gaza's health ministry, 210 people had been killed in the Israeli attacks on Nuseirat and other parts of central Gaza, the majority of whom were children and women. It is understood many martyrs and injured being brought to Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital using animal-drawn carts and private vehicles due to the dire circumstances of the healthcare system. The Zionist regime is only intensifying its deadly campaign in Gaza after an attack on Thursday, which killed about 40 people sheltering at a United Nations-run school in Nuseirat refugee camp, where some 6,000 displaced Palestinians were sheltering. To date, at least 36,801 Palestinians were killed and 83,680 wounded in Israel's attack on Gaza since October 7th. One of the UK's largest trade unions has refused to endorse the Labour election manifesto after accusing the party of weakening its package of workers' rights. Unite refused to give its backing to the final version of the policy document, which was signed off on at the party's closed-doors Class 5 meeting on Friday. According to sources, the Labour stance on issues like employment protection and oil and gas meant the affiliated union could not back its policy platform. Union's General Secretary Sharon Graham has previously called for Labour to commit to an outright ban on practices like fire and rehire. Labour has been under intense pressure from business groups to tone down the plan, which contains a series of radical changes to workplace rights. The union, which donated £3 million to Labour's campaign in 2019, warned last year that there were no blank cheques for the party, as it urged the leadership to offer bolder policies. The manifesto is set to be publicly unveiled next Thursday.
Far too many people have lost their lives. Aid is desperately needed in the region.
Heavy rain brought flash flooding to Australia's largest city, Sydney, on Saturday, prompting rescues and evacuation orders for several low-lying suburbs. Emergency authorities said they carried out 13 rescues and received 297 calls for assistance from residents in the capital of New South Wales state in the 24 hours to 5 a.m. local time due to floods sparked by the heavy rain. According to the New South Wales State Emergency Service, 10 emergency evacuation orders were in place for suburbs in the city's northwest, with the nation's weather forecaster warned that major flooding could occur later on Saturday in the region. Affected residents have been urged to be prepared to leave their homes, as officials stated that there was still a lot of water moving around. A man arrested for hitting Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen in a Copenhagen square will appear before a judge on Saturday, who will decide if he will be kept in custody. Police said the 39-year-old man would be brought before the Copenhagen City Court for questioning at around 1 p.m. local time. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office, in a statement on Saturday, said Frederiksen has suffered a light whiplash injury after she was assaulted in central Copenhagen on Friday. However, neither Frederiksen's office nor the police said anything about the man's motive or whether he had carried a weapon. The attack was widely condemned by leading European politicians, including EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen, who said it was a despicable act. The incident follows a spate of attacks on politicians from across the political spectrum at work or on the campaign trail in Germany ahead of this week's EU elections. North Korea again sent trash-carrying balloons towards the south on Saturday after anti-Pyongyang activists in the south said they have sent balloons with leaflets against North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. South Korean military announced that Pyongyang was flying balloons loaded with trash once again towards Seoul, advising the public to refrain from touching the balloons if spotted and to report them to authorities. The announcement came hours after the military said it was on alert for possibly more trash-carrying balloons arriving from Pyongyang. In two waves last week, North Korea sent hundreds of balloons with bags of trash into the south, describing them as a response to anti-Pyongyang propaganda balloons sent the other way by South Korean activists. Pyongyang then announced a halt to the balloon launches, but stressed that it would respond with waste paper and rubbish 100 times the amount if more South Korean leaflets were sent. The former U.S. astronaut who took the historic Earthrise photo from space over 55 years ago, William Anders, died in a plane crash on Friday at the age of 90. Local authorities said the plane was flying from north to south before it went into the water near the north end of Jones Island and sunk. The U.S. Coast Guard later announced that the 90-year-old's body was recovered by a dive team after an hour-long search that involved multiple agencies. In 1968, Anders captured an iconic image of Earth from the spacecraft, showing the moon's surface in the foreground during the Apollo 8 flight titled Earthrise. The photo, described as legendary by NASA, was the first color image of the Earth from space and one of the most important photos in modern history for the way it changed how humans viewed the planet. And Zverev battle hard to set up tantalizing final. Sports when we come back.
Pembunuhan yang paling kejam yang pernah berlaku di negara ini lah.
Dia diseksa
Itu yang saya tak boleh nak lupa.
Keadaan masa tu nampak kelam kabut sikit.
Memang sedih. Kes itu menggemparkan negara.
Ada sesuatu sedang berlaku di sana lah. Kita nak cari kebenaran.
Menyoroti kes-kes yang pernah menggemparkan dunia dan Malaysia, segalanya akan dirungkai dalam Fail Mahkamah setiap Rabu 9 malam. Terbaharu di TV3 dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Nak cari tempat untuk OOTD? Persembahan Cahaya Interaktif serius boleh buat gambar korang seleh habis. Raikan ulang tahun ke-40 TV3 dengan keajaiban pameran seni digital Immersio Inspirasi Generasi by TV3 dari 20 Mei hingga 9 Jun di Museum Telekom Kuala Lumpur. Jom, ajak family, kawan dan partner sekali, okey? Selamat Hari TV3. #Inspirasi Generasi. Kami sentiasa bersamamu.
Oh, kotor lah bang.
Kotor dan jijik lokaliti warga asing dipantau.
Mustahil wak satu hari tak akan jadi ulat.
Itu semalamnya itu.
Macam mana semalam suruh dia jadi ulat?
Saya pun tak tahu sebenarnya benda itu dalam plastik.
Sikap acuh tak acuh punca pembiakan wabak.
You tak ada mau cuci ke?
Cuci boleh.
Tapi nampak tak ada cuci.
Saya baru masuk sini.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Sports now, badminton, the 2024 Indonesia Open. Nationals mixed doubles pair Tan Kiang Meng, Lai Peijing's run ended in the semi-finals after going down in straight sets to China's Jiang Zhenbang Wei Yasin on Saturday. The independent pair was hoping to reach their first ever final in a World Tour Super 1000 competition, but found it hard to overcome the world number 5 Chinese pair as they went down 16-21, 18-21 in 39 minutes. The China pair will face their compatriots world number 1 Zhang Sihui, Huang Yaqiang in the final on Sunday. Meanwhile, national men's doubles pair Man Wei Chang, Ti Kai Wun made history after storming into the finals on Saturday night. The world number 20 pair pulled off an excellent performance, coming out on top against Indonesia's Sabar Karyaman Gutama, Reza Pahlavi Isfahani 29-27, 21-13 in their semi-final clash. They will face world number 2 Liang Weikeng Wang Chang of China in the final. On to tennis, the 2024 Roland Garros. Carlos Alcaraz outlasted second seed Jannik Sinner in an engrossing 5-set battle to reach his maiden final. The world number 3 Spaniard needed 4 hours and 12 minutes to complete an epic 2-6, 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, 6-3 victory, his 5th win in 9 career meetings with Italy's Sinner. The double Grand Slam champion, who is hoping to add to his Wimbledon and US Open titles, will face German Alexander Zverev in the final. Earlier, 27-year-old Zverev reached his maiden final in his 4th semi-final attempt after overcoming 2-time finalist Casper Ruud. The 4th-seeded German fell 2-6 in the first set, but stormed back to take the next 3 sets in comfortable fashion with a 6-2, 6-4, 6-2 win. Over 300 undocumented migrants detained. The details after this short break.
Saya ada satu motor yang lama tu, 1914 punya Matchless. Vintage. Cara lain, bunyi lain, cara nak bawa pun lain. Motor ini tidak lebih dari 10 yang bisa hidup dan jalan dan dengan kelas museum. Ya.
Malakoff adalah satu-satunya syarikat dalam usaha melakukan pembakaran secara bersama. Melalui usaha ini, kita dapat mengurangkan penjanaan gas rumah hijau hingga 30% pengurangan menjelang 2031.
Pernah nak pergi hospital, duit tak ada. Kami ada RM50 je nak pergi hospital. Kami tak makan. Lepas tu dia pernah terputus susu. Saya bagi susu cair. Susu cair pun habis. Saya buat bubur nasi, saya bagi air berah tu. Suruh anak-anak makan minum. Memang dah tak ada arah dah.
Mati pucuk, mimpi ngeri kaum lelaki.
10 orang, 7 daripada mereka mati pucuk.
Muda lagi dah mati pucuk.
Tabiat merokok, ketagihan pada pornografi boleh menyebabkan mati pucuk.
Mati pucuk di usia muda. Diskusinya di Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Inspirasi generasi bersamamu di TV3.
Welcome back. A total of 327 illegal immigrants aged between 19 and 61 were arrested during a large-scale joint operation led by the State Immigration Department, which targeted 2 construction sites in Pontian and Johor Bahru. The 5-hour-long operations, which concluded at 5:30 a.m. on Saturday, were the result of a 2-week intelligence gathering effort that included the use of drone surveillance.
Ekoran daripada aduan orang awam jugalah tentang keberadaan parti di kawasan ini. Kesalahannya sama juga yang tadi, di bawah Seksyen 61C, tak ada dokumen langsung, kosong. Dan juga Seksyen 15.1C, overstay, tinggal lebih masa. Operasi kita kali ini kita telah berjaya menahan ada pihak parti yang menggunakan kad UNCR yang palsu. Setelah kita buat semakan melalui aplikasi kita dapati kad ini adalah kad UNCR palsu.
Authorities screened 725 migrants during the raid at the construction site in Johor Bahru, and of the total, 198 were detained after failing to produce valid documents to remain in the country. A total of 252 migrants were also screened when the team raided the other construction site in Pontian. 129 of them were found violating several regulations under the Immigration Act for overstaying, misusing their social visit pass by gaining employment, and had remained in the country without permits. Those detained comprised Bangladeshis, Indian nationals, Indonesians, Myanmar nationals, and Pakistanis. 2 local men aged 62 and 35 were also detained for harboring the migrants. In Pahang, a freak storm swept through Pantai Kempadang in Kuantan on Saturday afternoon, wreaking havoc on the beach, affecting several businesses, shops and cars. Nearly 20 trees around the tourist spot were also uprooted in the 3:40 p.m. incident. According to witnesses, one of the trees fell on a Purudua Kancil and Naza Citra, damaging both vehicles. The uprooted tree also trapped an expectant mother in her 30s inside the Kancil, but she managed to escape through a window of the vehicle and was safe. The owner of the Citra, 31-year-old Zulfatiha Zainuddin, said it was a frightening incident, but she was thankful that she and her 4 children were safe. Recounting the harrowing experience, she said she initially wanted to move her car as there were many things flying around during the storm. However, when the fallen tree smashed the rear windscreen of her car, she immediately grabbed her crying children and sought refuge behind a rock.
Semua orang kat sini suruh saya menyorok dekat belakang batu. Sebab angin tengah kuat kan. Takut kena anak-anak suruh nyorok belakang batu. Saya pergi menyorok belakang batu. Anak-anak saya semua menangis takut.
Several kiosks and food stalls along the beach were also blown away and ripped apart by the strong winds, which lasted about 30 minutes. Kuantan City Council's Special Action Unit and the Malaysian Civil Defence Force were then dispatched to help clear the felled trees and debris from the scene. The amount of losses incurred by the traders at the beach is still being determined. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at dazzling performances of Water Dragon Dance, staged in southwest China's Chongqing municipality, which have attracted both locals and tourists alike. With that, I'm Hassanel. Thank you for tuning in and have a good Sunday.